All right, here we go on a Wednesday, a wacky Wednesday, an Aaron Rodgers wacky Wednesday, if you will. If you want to get a hold of the program, you can do that. Email address, wisconsinfamily1@gmail.com. Twitter @Wisconsin_fam. Follow and subscribe on YouTube as well. And this is what we become. The Packers, that is. The main man, the face of the franchise, Aaron Rodgers, will be going on his darkness retreat to contemplate his future and maybe find himself, and that way he can tell the Packers what he wants to do. Rodgers has become a sideshow. He's become weird. He's become the butt of endless jokes. Meanwhile, the Packers are sitting, waiting for this guy to make some kind of decision. But I don't know why it matters. Why the desperation to get this one-man circus back into town? You see, we've had this sideshow, all this stuff with Rodgers for a few years now. One thing we haven't had is a Super Bowl. No Super Bowls in 12 years. We've had Rodgers find himself by eating whatever it was that he was eating that 2 off seasons ago that caused him to be in a constant state of throwing up and diarrhea. That's 2 years ago. Last year, he took his ayahuasca so that he could hallucinate, find himself. Now this year, a darkness retreat. Spending 4 days, 4 nights in total darkness while in complete isolation, which he said can also cause hallucinations. Wonderful. But I thought he found himself last year. I don't know why he has to do it again. Anyway, Rodgers and all the talk about him has become anything but football related. And I don't know about you, but I just want the Green Bay Packers to be about football again. And not this clown show that gets put on with Rodgers. You know, everyone's made the comparison with Rodgers and Brett Favre when it comes to retiring and the uncertainty with that. But Favre couldn't have held a candle to what Rodgers has been doing these last few years. Rodgers has to stay in the spotlight. I mean, things like this. This is why people think he's always craving attention. And he would be getting that attention today, too, nationally, if LeBron James hadn't broken the all-time scoring record last night, because now that's been most of the talk nationally all day. But there's absolutely no doubt that Rodgers eats up the attention and draws it on himself. I hear people say, yeah, but this is all on the media. They turn Rodgers into a villain, and it's the media's fault, and all they want to do is talk about Rodgers. And that's not true necessarily. In the case of retirement, when a guy's getting close to 40 years old as a professional athlete, the question is going to come up, where are you at in terms of retirement? It happens to Rodgers. It happened to Brady. It happened to Favre. It happened to Ben Roethlisberger. It'll happen to Patrick Mahomes. It happens when you get up there in age. It's a legit question that the media has to ask in order to do their job. In terms of Rodgers' answers, he could just say, hey, look, I've got 2 years left in my contract. That's where we stand. But rather than doing that, he goes into a 10-minute monologue on contemplating life. And if he wants to play, or maybe he doesn't want to play, maybe the Packers want me back, maybe the Packers don't want me back. I hear a lot of people saying, well, I should go to the Raiders, and so on. That's what brings all the attention, folks. He does it himself. And then he comes out with just these ridiculous off-season programs to find himself. It's weird stuff. It is weird stuff. And I'm far from the only one who says this stuff is weird. Yahoo Sports article by Jack Baer. Headline: Aaron Rodgers says he will contemplate football future by spending 4 nights in complete darkness. The Packers quarterback will be in isolation and says the experience could cause hallucinations. Ooh. Baer writes, it's probably safe to say no NFL player has an offseason calendar set up like Aaron Rodgers. Step 1 for the Green Bay Packers quarterback was to compete in the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which he won. Step 2, as he explained to the Pat McAfee show on Tuesday, is to spend 4 straight days and nights isolated in a completely dark room. Yes, really, Baer writes. This shouldn't surprise anyone, considering what we've learned about Rodgers' past use of a potent psychedelic in Peru, which he also explained on McAfee's show. Rodgers, in fact, confirmed on the same show Tuesday that he won't be using ayahuasca this offseason, but will instead do what he calls a darkness retreat as he contemplates his NFL future. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm talking about. While most players on other teams are out there doing interviews, they're talking about football. They're talking about their team. They're talking about maybe what they're looking for in free agency. It's football. It's football related. That's what I'm looking for from football players. And the way this, you would think, has to affect the Packers. The Packers gave this guy a massive contract. He's going to make $60 million this year, assuming he plays. You'd want that guy making all that money to be all in, just like you went all in on his contract. Instead, he's talking about all this weird crap that has nothing to do with football. That's not being all in. That has nothing to do with the Green Bay Packers. Listen, no one cares. No one cares about Aaron Rodgers outside of what he can do on a football field. That's just the way it is. You're an athlete. You sign up for it. You sign up for people to only give a damn what you do on that field. And more times than not, for Rodgers, it seems like that football field is really the last thing on his mind. The article from Yahoo Sports goes on, what is Aaron Rodgers' darkness retreat? As Rodgers explained it, he will not be locked in the dark room and has been looking forward to the experience for months. Rodgers goes on to explain it, but then the Bear, the writer of the article here, after he put together a little highlight reel of some of the interesting comments from Rodgers. So Bear says it was at that point when Rodgers was absolutely peppered with questions about the experience. Here's a selection of his answers. Rodgers, quote, "It's a room, it's a little house. There's a 2-way slot, they'll drop in some food for you, but it's isolation and darkness. No music, no nothing, just myself, isolation." Rodgers, quote, again, "You can wear adult diapers if you want. But there's actually a bathroom." And then one more Rodgers quote, "Yeah," on if he really paid for this. Ladies, gentlemen, Packer fans everywhere, this is our $60 million per year football quarterback doing and saying a lot of things that isn't considered footballing. All right, I've got to talk more about Joe Barry. Let me get off the Rodgers topic for a moment or two. Sadly, the Packers, Joe Barry, I mean, I get sick of talking about it. I think a lot of people are. The Packers are hanging on to him with white knuckles. I should actually rephrase that. It's not the Joe Barry problem. It's not it's Matt LaFleur whose problem this is, not Barry's. We move on from Barry. He's not the problem. His boss, who won't fire him, is now the problem. I want to get to that. The Wisconsin Badgers play basketball tonight